Okay, Kiko had a good question. Hope someone could go in depth into the discussion between intellectual property, trademark, or trade secrets.
I don't know this.
I don't either. That's why I found it so interesting. It's like,
so trademark. Oh man.
I guess intellectual property means you're the one who came up with it and you own the rights. Trademark would be like a logo, I think.
Yeah.
If I took my logo and I probably need to
Kellogg's.
do that, actually.
Kellogg's is trademarked.
Yeah. That's how Disney is dealing with its intellectual property thing with the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey. That's about to become public domain. So what they do, they made a trademark logo using that image at the opening of their things, and now
but they were also paying. I think they were paying off the people who were supposed to put that in place as public domain on the Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah, but they got caught, so they can't anymore. So they had to trademark it.
Well, that'll be the difference.
Trademarks
Disney
expire.
Is the trademark, and Mickey Mouse is the intellectual property. So it's like you had to make up this character, you had to make up this property, you had to make up this story. That's your intellect. So that's your intellectual property. The trademark is your brand. That's your branding of it all. So if you want to have like Chill Kid have trademarked this brand because he is Chill Kid TM, you know. So everything that he has on there, is trademark Chill Kid. He has his look, he has his design. This is trademark. Anything that Chill Kid created, his music is his intellectual property. That's his stuff. That is what he gets to own because it came out of his mind. That's his intellect. So those are the two differences between that stuff.
Now, do I have to pay property taxes on those too?
Most likely, yes.
If Illinois has anything to say about it.
Yeah, if you can get taxed, if the government can tax you on it, they will tax you on it.
Yeah,
was that
count my intellectual property as property?
Yeah,
but this is what I was talking about right here. Since that's about to become public domain and they cannot keep the copyright on the intellectual property, they use this as a logo, trademarked it. Trademarks do not expire. Therefore, whenever somebody goes to use Steamboat Willie version of Mickey, which is now public domain, they can go, but that's our trademark. And that doesn't have a time limit like a copyright does.
Yeah, so I could take the Steamboat Willie, I could take Mickey Mouse and take this character and do whatever I want with it because the intellectual property is now in public domain. Felix the Cat, I think Popeye.
Superman gets public domain at the end
public
of the year.
Domain. Once you get that, like anyone's allowed to take it and make a story and put it out there. What they can't do is say this is a DC, this is Walt Disney story. No, it's not. It's you. You took that and did it with it.
Basically, what you can do, from what it sounds like, is you could take Steamboat Willie, get rid of the buttons on his shorts and the hat, and it'll be fine.
And don't call it Walt Disney. Call it your production. Because it's your trademark. It's your brand. It's that character, that intellectual property, but it's in public domain. You're allowed to do it.
Kiko says, so for example, what is the harm if I try to use Isom character as my own offshoot of the original Isom? Most people who are fans of Eric, what's the harm of me trying to copy the... I'm not sure what you're asking me there.
If you took the actual character of Isom, you'd have to... I'm pretty sure Eric July copyrighted Isom.
Yeah, don't do it.
If he's really smart, he actually has a patent, or not a patent, it's a copyright. I copyrighted my movie. It costs like $170. You get it copyrighted. Everything inside that
holy crap, really?
Intellectual property is now yours.
I think it only cost me like
$65.
Yeah, it was less than $70 for me to copyright
California.
Yeah, California.
But it was still but copyrighting it with federal
Yes, it goes up.
doesn't change from state to state.
There was literally 2 charges. I had to do the government, the federal copyright, and then the case for California, because California and New York gets their own little laws here apparently. So you got to pay.
Wow.
But that's the way
I only had to do it
Anyway.
once. You had to do it twice?
The point is that my story, my characters, my movie is copyrighted. So if I go out and try to sell it and someone tries to steal it and they actually get successful and they're able to make it and they don't change anything of it because they're stupid, I could just say, hey, yo, that's my character. That's my intellectual property. It's copyrighted. You can't do that. I can take you to court. I have the documents and the federal, here you go. It belonged to this guy. I could sue you and take all your money, all the profits that you made from that movie, now mine. And it's just the way it works.
I do think we might be misunderstanding slightly what Kiko's asking, because I don't think he's saying just go out and make his own item. I think he's saying take the idea, go make his own thing with that as an inspiration.
Yes.
Like, for example,
Go do that.
We have Superman over in DC Comics. You go over to Marvel, you got characters like Hyperion, you got Gladiator, you got Superman allegories, but none of them are actually Superman.
Well, here's
all
the
inspired by.
Here's the deal.
Do that.
Number one, if you use a person's main character and give them a story that the other person had already provided, that could be considered copyright infringement. If you use that character in your story, it's kind of like a side story, which is one of the reasons why fan fiction is, they don't really go after people with fan fiction. That's considered okay because you have your own original characters. It's your own original story of which that character only plays a part or a background interest. But if you purposely use somebody's intellectual property, their particular, and it's not just an idea, but it's a character and an identity, you could get in a lot of trouble. Consequently, if you use a name for a character like ISOM but have a completely different character, unless the name is trademark, I don't think it's a problem. But if that person has a trademark, you can get in a lot of trouble. They can come after you for trademark infringement.
Did somebody say a month or two ago that Marvel actually copyrighted the word superhero?
Technically, superhero, done 4 ways, is copyrighted between DC and Marvel, depending on the spelling, hyphen, and whatnot.
So that's trademark.
Good luck. Well, they
can't be intellectual property because that's just a word.
You can't trademark a word.
No, you can't trademark a word. Yeah, you can't trademark ideas. The thing with I think Wizards of the Coast, they were trying to sue people for trying to steal their game. Well, the way I came across this, I looked up.
You're talking about the OGL.
You can't steal the rules of a game. So the way Star Shatter is set up, we use the same rules as Dungeons and Dragons, but it doesn't use the intellectual property. These are all Black Knight's intellectual properties. It's just using the same rules. And you're totally
that was over
the
OGL.
Scrabble and Wordle or something like Words with Friends. I can't remember. They're the same game, but it's just different games. Same rules, different game.
Another thing too about what Kiko Man is saying is you can also get in trouble for it's not tortious interference. It's something else. But you can get in trouble if you use somebody's concept or idea in your own, unless it's like parody. You can get in trouble. Actually, no, you can get in trouble with copyright because unless it is considered parody, and that will therefore be considered free use, then you can get in trouble for copyright infringement. That's what it is. You can use it to comment. You can use it for parody. And a prime example was some of these samples that they were using in rap songs. They had to give attribution to the author of those samples.
Good example.
Yeah. Vanilla Ice got stung because he tried saying that because he didn't give attribution to Queen. But I think it was Two Live Crew did I think it was a parody of maybe Little Woman or Only the Lonely. And they got sued by Roy Orbison, but they won because it was considered a parody. It was therefore free game and not considered copyright. But once it strays beyond parody,
or else Spaceballs would have been sued into oblivion.
Exactly.
I mean, think of Weird Al. Weird Al's all it's one for one. You hear it. It's the same song.
That's why Weird Al doesn't get in trouble.
I'm confused what Kiko
or
Man's
Cletus T. Judd
asking about
plus
making
people like him.
A superhero, or is he trying to say using Iceland's character, like the design and everything?
Not sure. He is a little sauce, but so that could be,
little sauce.
That could be impairing his ability to convey his thoughts.
So
as long as you do it in fan fiction, you're not actually charging money.
You
and
know,
using
Cletus T. Judd. All right, Emily.
So okay, Hunter, you would actually probably know this, Hedge Hunter. So, do you get the copyright while you're writing it, or do you wait till after you're done writing it? And when or how would you go about copywriting it?
I personally do it after I'm done writing it and editing it and about ready to release. And the reason being is if you make major changes to the manuscript, you have to resubmit to a copyright. And they will tolerate things like spelling errors and maybe grammatical errors. But if like you start hacking and slashing a lot of stuff, you'll lose your copyright. So that's why I make sure I'm like at the level of where I'm doing the audio book. And that's like at the very end of the process before I apply for the copyright. Once you apply for the copyright and you get an acknowledgement that you have, that's considered a legal document.
Yeah.
And so if there is a copyright dispute, because you can claim somebody violated your copyright. The person who actually has some sort of legal document is the one that is going to be looked more favorably in the eyes of the courts.
Wasn't the cheap way to do it to send the pouches to yourself?
And they tell you specifically. I think it's on the copyright website because I have a whole like a whole FAQ section. That will not hold up in court.
I didn't take a chance, so I just copyrighted my book.
Yeah, it's $65. Once you're done and you're about ready to publish, and you think it's pretty clean, just freaking copyright it. It's protect your investment.
Yep.
Kiko says, hold on. In general, I'm against copyright laws. If I make up a character and someone copies it and creates a better story than me, that I am fine with them doing that. If I started the trend, but I lost. Hold on, he goes on.
Yeah, no.
Someone straight up stealing your work.
Somebody takes your work, and what constitutes a better story is subjective.
Yeah.
Purely subjective.
I'd also feel pretty cheesed if I'd worked my whole life to finally get something to hit. And then I found out somebody just took it, and then instead of me being able to take care of my kids with that money, they got it. That'd be really cheesed up about that.
That would be ripping the
Once
guts
it's
out.
Fired, it's another
Yeah.
be a
Because
direct duplicate.
The other problem you get into is plagiarism. What if somebody takes your story, adds a bunch of stuff, and then sells it as a completely different story with a different name? You wrote the vast majority of that book. They added 4 or 5 paragraphs and now claim it as their own. This is what copyright is there to protect against. And it doesn't even matter if it's a quote better story unquote. It's still you did the majority of the work. Basically, copyright is there to make sure that the artist is able to profit from the sweat of or is able to take the fruit of their labors or enjoy the fruit of their labors. And that's exactly what copyright is there for.
Security.
Not necessarily. Well, yeah, it's
I'd say
security.
legal
I mean,
security.
basically, it's rights. It comes right down to rights. When you say you don't believe in copyright, that means you don't think anybody has a right to anything that they spent time and money and effort writing and developing and then eventually publishing. And you're going to give it to somebody who didn't do jack shit, pardon my French, added a paragraph and then sold it as their own property.
It's so sad to think that's a thing. We wouldn't have these laws in place if that wasn't happening. You know, the people obviously steal art all the time and they profit off of it for a lot of money. You know, creative theft is a thing, and to be an artist and a writer, you always have to keep that in your mind. Like, you know, if you're gonna sell something to the public and you're really gonna start publishing stuff, that there's a good probability that your shit's gonna be stolen.
Yep,
it's still gonna get stolen. It doesn't matter. It only counts in this country.
It'll be ripped off. It'll be. I have to think about Don Hertzfeldt. Don Hertzfeldt's one of my favorite indie animators. You probably never really heard of this guy, but he's had so much influence on the modern animation scene.
No, I love that guy. No, his animations have been entertaining me since I was in high school, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Rejected back in '99 was the first thing I really got onto it. And if you watch The World of Tomorrow, his most recent things, you can see his evolution and just the beauty of his simple animation, but mostly his writing.
I'll be right back.
And how emotional and how locked in it'll bring you on this. But everyone, Pop-Tarts major corporation has ripped off his animation style. You know, clearly ripped off his animation style. A lot of people have been inspired from this animation style and went on to do their own thing, more successful than him. Like, he's still at this indie artist area after, geez, dude, it's been 20 plus years this guy's been at it. He's fine, you know, he's all right with just being an indie animator. He still calls himself, last time I saw an interview, he sees himself as a filmmaker that animates. You know, he's not an animator. He thinks himself as a filmmaker that uses animation as his media, and he just does his thing, you know, and he's fine with it. Dude, if Don Hertzfeldt discovered the Iron Age and kind of gave it a little bump, it's a thumbs of approval, it'd be amazing. If Don Hertzfeldt met Animated Moon and the Raven's Loft and all these guys here, it would be amazing. I would love that. I think he'd support us.
Well, maybe.
How you doing, chill kid?
How you doing?
Kiko did say trade secret, on the other hand, is something I would defend if it is leaked.
So I was sending one of them electronic mails.
Oh, that was one of those configurable devices thingy majiggers.
It doesn't matter
that's
whether
about
they're
the
making
long and
small
short
or
of it.
large changes, Kiko, man. You didn't come up with that character idea or story. You didn't labor over it. You know,
I love that he keeps coming at this idea. I admire the persistence. He's like, okay. So what if? All right, what if?
Everybody get the best what if right there.
I got it. I know how to, because I know he's drunk. Kiko, man, what if somebody stole the blueprints to your work?
Mind you, we've already done this months ago.
He would consider that.
He wouldn't care.
We consider that a trade secret.
Well, I'm talking about his machine.
He's probably laughing good luck figuring it out.
That's what I'm saying. That's a trade secret. The machine is a trade secret. That's what he's getting at.
But
what he's getting at is something that has already been released. Now, here's the deal. If the concept of something like Superman is not unique, okay? I mean, they did it with, I think, basically it's a Shazam, Marvel. I mean, Marvel Comics has got a dozen different Supermans in one
Invincible
form or another.
Yeah,
basically Invincible. But if you started throwing around a guy who came from the planet Krypton, who is powered by the sun, or whose strength comes from the yellow sun and is basically invincible. Now you're running up against something that is, he may have a different costume and may have a different name called Uberman. You're going to run up into copyright. And this is the reason why we have courts.
Uberman.
Yeah,
Uber.
Uberman.
Uber. No, not
Uberman.
Ubermensch.
His ship crashed in Auschwitz.
But
sorry, everybody.
Let's make this character. Fuck this. We're on a roll.
Version of Superman.
I just said Uberman. I just want to point that out right there. Anyways, when you start doing that, now you're coming right up against.
I'm going to GoDaddy.com. I'm going to register Uberman.com right now.
So, but now you're coming up against something that beginning to look like a duck, walk like a duck, quack like a duck. And at that point, that's the reason when the courts step in to see whether it is copyright infringement or not. That's the reason why we have courts out there to do this.
So Herman, would his motto be like truth, pure, and the fear way?
Yeah.
They done the Russian Superman. We're gonna do the German one from World War II.
I don't think they have enough balls to do Nazi Superman. Although,
wait, hold up. Let me see if I
could be a good story.
Find this real quick.
I mean, if you want to try doing that, but you're gonna run up against people who, and this is where it becomes a judgment call, whether you're basically trying to ride somebody else's coattails, take somebody else's idea, somebody who's thought it out, maybe has developed an entire character, and basically block copy his stuff, and then just change the names. Okay, or just change a few details here and there. Basically, you're scamming. Okay, if
well, that's the difference between being inspired by something and then plagiarizing something.
Exactly, and essentially, I mean, most art is being copied, but or is copied or is inspired. But at the same time, you have to add your twist to your new idea, and you have to come up with something unique. And it doesn't matter whether somebody makes a better. Art is not about whether somebody makes a better mousetrap. Art is something a little bit more subjective.
Yeah. Have you heard
and the other thing is, as far as he talks about trade secrets and limits, I don't really freaking care how long it is. If you're scamming me, you're scamming me. The reason why we have limits on things is because of the age of things. But fiction itself actually can extend. I mean, take a look at Tolkien's stuff, well past the end of his life. So, do you think that his estate should be allowed to, that his estate should be allowed to reap the benefits of his work, especially if that was his wishes?
So,
it's 75 years. I think it's good.
Yeah, Everly, I think fan fiction is technically legal because it can be a parody, be constitute as long as it's not making profit. Technically, they're selling it.
I have a question along these lines. Like, is this sort of like the controversy about Let's Plays, where people are just straight up playing a video game, but they're kind of like talking and and saying, "Oh, headshot" or whatever, and that's transformative?
Technically, that falls under fair use.
Yeah,
because it's technically transformative by you commentating and talking over it.
And they bought the game to play it to begin with, so they have the right to do so.
But that doesn't stop these companies.
No, if I buy a DVD, I can't like go downtown and put it up and project it on the wall in the park or something like that.
You just gotta like go through your city and say, "Hey, I want to put this projector and like go to my city and project this movie on the wall." Like, okay.
Well, no, I'd have to I'd actually have to pay for a license to publicly display someone else's movie. There's a warning about it in front of every movie, pretty much. But like for you to view it in your home, it's fine. But like if you're displaying it for people publicly, you can get in trouble for that.
So a lot of my YouTube algorithm, I love watching people react to the movies I watch to. So I've always watch reaction movies and stuff like that. But they're playing the movie. You know what they do? They edit out. They make it fuzzy at some things, or they cut the audio at some points. They always have to edit it in some weird way. That you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it,
but I just found something along those lines last week. Maji, I don't know if you've seen this. Transformers the movie. We got people reacting to it that have seen all the live action stuff but never saw the original movie. Sitting down, and one of these channels played the whole dang thing, just sitting there, mostly watching it. Occasionally would pause or talk over it, but I was like, how are they getting away? I'm glad they are, because I'm getting a kick out of this guy's reactions, but how are they getting away with this?
Well, okay, so you know how Desperu, he literally, I think he times it that he pauses every 10 seconds to say something so he doesn't get caught.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah,
I wanted to
I
want to answer Kikaman's question.
Yep.
Pharma to manufacturing to art, copyright is not the same as patent. Patents are trade secrets. So pharma would be considered, anything that pharma comes up with would be patent. Something an advertising agency might come up with.
How do you, oh my gosh, how would you even trade secret writing? This is writing. Like, you should know how to write. Like,
yeah,
trades, they'll be like doing a trade secret on the comma. Like, by the way, you only use a comma here, or the semicolon or something like that, you know?
What was that, the Dr. Evil reference? He credited himself. He claimed he created the question mark.
My dad filtering of grammar skills, exactly. I could totally trademark it, okay?
You can't do that with writing. This is writing. This is it's writing. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm gonna trademark the comma.
Copyrights that with Marvel over Howard the Duck.
Try it.
Well, it's like how Disney tried to trademark Loki. It's claiming that they made Loki, and so they're like, "Oh no, we can't do Norse mythology."
Yeah, but Maji, but that wasn't work because it's part of mythology, so they couldn't do jack shit trying to trademark it.
But
And
they
funny
tried.
However, if somebody makes up their own version of a Loki character, but makes them look exactly like Loki in Marvel, they would have ground. You know, like somebody made a Loki that obviously was copying the Marvel version. They would have.
Can you imagine if Disney sewed what was that?
The Loki outfit in the comics is pretty distinct. Like,
I
don't think you can get away with that.
Well, the thing is,
along with the horns on his
just
crown.
a normal dude. So, like, they got Loki dressed as like a normal dude regularly in the story. So, can you imagine if they like tried to sue Tom Hiddleston or whatever his name is for looking too much like Loki? You look like Loki. That's illegal.
Well, yeah.
Charlie Chaplin once took third place in the Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest.
Well, Disney owns a lot of their actors' faces, their rights to their faces and shit.
Yeah,
no, really? Get the fuck out! That seems soulless. That seems fucked up.
And that was an episode of Black Mirror,
and people call it that bizarre cult.
I don't like that.
Well, when I was in a band,
it was good.
And we looked at a couple contracts that they wanted to like copyright our tattoos. Like they wanted like the intellectual rights to displaying pictures.
There
of
was
our
a
tattoos.
whole
this is
drama.
This is weird.
There was a whole There was a whole drama in WWE
about Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Tattoos.
Yeah, there was a whole drama with the video games. Yeah.
Yep. In 2K, so Randy Orton, he has a bunch of sleeve tattoos and everything. And the artist that Randy Orton paid to have them tattoos was trying to sue 2K for using his tattoos on the character model of Randy Orton, saying that it's his art and stuff.
Get that bag. Yeah. Go for it. You respect the hustle.
It's like, but here's my problem with that. I'm like, how? I mean, Randy Orton paid you for that art on his skin. It's his, body for the game.
That'd be like if I built you a gazebo, but I tried to charge you every time you used it for a party or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, what the fuck? Huh. Greedy motherfuckers, dude. Money. I don't like money.
Well, okay, so that's like the original Disney artist for Snow White painted a mural of Snow White on a daycare wall. It had been there for over 50 years. And then the new CEO at the time said it was copyright claim and made them paint over the original art, even though it was painted by the guy who drew the movie.
That's insane.
Legal, but being a dick.
I don't even think that was legal. I just think the daycare couldn't afford to fight that in court over Disney.
My question is, who's enforcing this shit? Who's enforcing this? Like, who cares? Who cares? Well, why does it fucking matter? You know, it doesn't affect me.
Because
really
The lawyers care, man. The lawyers get the money
executive.
from this.
The money,
That's what
yeah,
they do.
exactly. So it all comes back down to the money.